All right, so we're on. It's Thursday. It is October 5th, 2017. It's our first Thursday call for our Eat, Live, and Optavia team. So, what we started doing probably about a year ago, might have even been a little bit longer, was we just decided that as a community, because we have coaches and we have clients that live all over the country. And some of us live in an area where we can get together in person with other people that are on the same journey, and then some of us don't. So we just like to get together and just have a community gathering like this, really just to talk about the real stuff. You know, we're all on this journey. We know the weight loss plan works. All of that is a given. What's the more challenging part is how do we challenge and navigate our life with our health goals. So those are usually the issues that we like to bring. And we're so fortunate. We've got a great team of health coaches. And we love to collaborate on what we think would be really relevant topics. And so we just started talking about, like last year we had the call was, we remembered that it was, that sometimes for some people, the holiday season begins with Halloween. So the topic was, it all begins with the candy corn, you know, because it can kind of go from that. So we started talking about that topic, but then we said, you know what, there's so many challenges that people face that a lot of times it's our underlying fears about entering different situations and embracing this journey and the change that can tend to trip us up. And what we do here at Optavia is different. You know, we are all about support, community, education, so that you're not going at this alone, and that whatever has gotten in your way before, that we can work through it. So, you know, another thing that we've realized is that community means interaction, right? That we're talking. So what I thought we would do tonight is, before we have a few key points that we want to share, but before we got into that, I was just wondering if a few people might be willing to speak up and just maybe share with us why you got on this call tonight, what it is that you're hoping that we'll share so that we can make sure we address it. Or maybe you have a specific situation or that you're going through that you'd like a little group coaching for. So we've never done that before, right? You got a lot. I'm looking out. It's like so many deer in the headlights right now. Like, what? So.
I know Sandy's coming, so she'll probably pipe in a minute when she gets on.
Okay. Yeah. No worries. No worries. And Meg, was your client able to get on, Meg? I think you're muted.
Sorry, trying to keep y'all from hearing babies in the background. Ashley, are you out there?
I am, but I didn't know I was going to go first.
No, I'll go first.
Go ahead. Take it, girl.
So this is Meg Johnson. Meg is a health coach on our team.
A health coach, and also just recently a client too. And I had a lot of fears, and I know we all do, right? I had a fear of maintenance and transition. I was really afraid to get off the fuelings, and now here I am in maintenance, maintaining my weight, and it's awesome. So I'm excited that we're all here to share about the different fears that are going on, and just be real with one another, which is great. I know what I hear a lot from clients, you know, they have this fear of change and the fear of the unknown. They have the desire to lose weight like I did, but just a lot of fear that goes on. And one of the things that I love about my client, Ashley, she was going off on our program for a while and got to be about a month into the program and just wasn't happy with how many pounds that she had lost. And so we talked over the phone and talked about like some things that we could do. And I just love that Ashley like went gangbusters and totally like went after her goal. And she's having incredible results. And Ashley, would you mind just sharing a little bit about kind of what that was like for you and kind of how you're doing it, like we talked about on Monday?
Well, this is the first time I'm actually seeing results, which is cool. And it's keeping me going because I am seeing results. My first month, my second week, I went to the beach. And I had the hardest time getting through my head, okay, when I'm at the beach, I'm having this time off, I want to drink, I want to have some alcohol. So I continue to drink. I didn't do beer and wine. I decided to do just vodka water. So I thought it was a little easier. It was lighter on the calories. I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Well, I come back and I stayed on the plan, everything else but the alcohol. I stayed 100% on the plan, did all my fuelings, did all my lean and greens. And then I get back and I'm like, well, this stinks. I'm not losing like I thought I was going to. I was only down 7 pounds, and that seems like a lot and more than I've done before, but I've seen other people losing more and more. So I get on the phone and I'm kind of discouraged, and I'm talking to Meg, and she's like, just try it 1 week. Just try it. Because I also came back and I went to some weddings and I partaked in some wine. But then I got on the phone with Meg and she's like, just try it. Try 1 full week, not doing anything, no alcohol. And so I did it, and I saw such a change. And so those little things that I didn't think were making that big of a difference were actually holding me back. And so I have now doubled my weight loss in that like 2 or 3 weeks. This is my 7th week on the plan. I'm now 14 pounds down. I just got into a size smaller jean. Today was my first day wearing a size smaller jean. So I like buckled down, and I've seen the results even better, even faster. And it's crazy, and it's keeping me motivated and keeping me going.
That's so awesome. Ashley, you are so inspiring. Because you're doing it. And what I love about your story too, Ashley, is like, not only did you decide, okay, I'm going to double down on the program and make sure I'm doing everything, but you started going for a walk.
Yeah.
And the idea of exercise, like we talked about, was a lot. And so you broke it down and you said, on my lunch break, I'm going to walk for, how long did you walk?
It's only like a 15 or 20 minute walk, and I didn't even plan it, but then I measured it with my car and it ended up being a mile. So I'm busting that out on my hour-long lunch break every day. And I feel so accomplished at the end of the day.
Yeah. And you did it like 6 days last week, right?
Yep. 6 out of 7 days last week.
So
well, that is good, Ashley. So I've got a question for you. So when you went on vacation before, and so you obviously there was a fear of giving up the alcohol, right?
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's probably an association, right? Being at the
Yes.
beach and having
relaxing, taking the time off, chilling out,
And so then you had weddings, probably the same thing, right? It's a celebration. Yep. But I'm gonna guess. I mean, have you had to encounter any situations like that since you made the decision? Okay, not worth it. I'm gonna move forward. Have you encountered any situations where you've had to make the choice?
Yes.
Make the tougher choices.
Yep. Actually, just this last weekend, I do a lot of work on the weekends too. So I work full time, and then I also do a bunch of work on the weekends. And so I was coming back from doing some work on Saturday, and I just give my mom a call. And I'm like, hey, what are you doing? And she's like, oh, me and your dad are at a bar right by your house. I'm like, oh, I'll stop by for a little bit, hang out. I get there, and my dad's like, you can't come and stop and just not have a beer. Have a beer with me. And my mom backed me up, and she's like, no, she's doing so good. She'll take a water. So then I stuck to my water and hung out for a little bit and went on my day. So that was really cool to be able to turn that down. And that ended up turning down an entire night of drinking and hanging out, because 1 would have turned to 2 would have turned to 3, so on and so on.
So what's so great about that, the message I think that can be received is you worked with Meg, right? So Meg, your coach, and she challenged you, right? Like, let's just try it. Let's just do it. So she challenged you, and you stepped up.
Nobody can hear me.
When you started getting results and focusing on what you really wanted versus what you wanted at that moment.
Yes, exactly. And it's keeping me motivated. So I'm sticking to my guns on it.
Well, congratulations. So, down a pant size and double the weight loss. You can't beat that.
Nope.
Thank you for sharing. That's
Thanks.
great. That's great. Meg, you had mentioned about, a fear of maintenance and transition.
Mm-hmm.
So what gave you the confidence to walk through that? And have you had any bumps or bruises along the way with your maintenance? Because that's a very, very common fear for people, is once I lose the weight, now what?
Right. I think, yes, absolutely. I had a lot of fear. Even when I went off program and I graduated or whatever, I still had that fear. And it was kind of like when I decided to become a health coach and I was talking to you, I was scared. And I just said, okay, I'm gonna do it scared. I'm gonna push the button. And the same thing with going to transition. Like I was like, I'm ready. I'm going to go to maintenance. I'm going to do it scared. And so I think I just started with the first day, you know, like when we're on program, we do it one fueling at a time, right? One day at a time, one meal at a time. And so I kind of took the same approach, even though I was fearful. I said, you know, I'm going to trust the program because look, I lost 30 pounds in 10 weeks. I know what they're saying. I know it works, and just going to take it a day at a time. And I'm so excited because last week we went to Disney for 7 days and we ate out the whole time. And I was so nervous to hop on the scale on Monday, and the scale didn't move at all. I stayed completely the same. And so that was such a testament to our plan and our program and how you can go on trips in maintenance and keep your weight off. So that was a big win.
That's good. Did your choices and what you chose to eat look different when you were on maintenance at Disney versus before you did the plan, like a year ago?
Yes. Every time we go to Disney, usually I gain like at least 5 pounds, right? And every meal that we eat is always like, let's make this meal the best meal ever. And so instead, this trip was all about the experience. Like, instead of like, where are we going to eat next? It was like, what are we going to do? What are we going to experience? And, you know, it wasn't all about the food. We did have, you know, splurges here and there, but they were choices, right? They weren't cheating. We didn't cheat. We chose. And so, yeah.
It doesn't sound like it was nonstop. You made, you know, very practical decisions. And do you mind sharing what was your total weight loss on the program?
35 pounds.
That's great. Good. Thanks for sharing. Well, sometimes maintenance and transition, we do hit bumps in the road, and that can be a little scary because if things start not going the way we want them to, it can cause a lot of emotion. So I had a conversation with one of our clients and coaches, Jonathan, last week. And Jonathan, you said you'd be willing to kind of share what's been going on with you lately.
Yep. So, I am a year plus into maintenance. I transitioned in 2016 after a weight loss of 120 pounds and managed to keep that off very well and easily for the first 6 to 8 months of transition, and then started making some changes to reach some other goals. Our next goal were some training goals, some strength training goals. So started making some changes there and started picking up a little bit of weight that was intentional, some muscular weight. And then along the way, I hit some bumps in the road. And those bumps in the road looked like stress, and they looked like a lot of my old habits found their way back in when I wasn't looking. And as opposed to reach out to my coach, I said to myself, well, I'm a coach. I know what to do. So I doubled down. And what I ended up doing was starting a cycle. And so I started a cycle of old bad habits and then getting very strict, fixing it. And it was an up and down roller coaster. And after, 3 weeks, 4 weeks of finding myself on a roller coaster, I reached back out to you in one of our weekly calls, and I said, I'm a mess, and I need to fix it. And I haven't reached out to my coach, and I haven't done what I needed to do. And so we got together probably the very next day and reached out with another coach on our team who kind of helped put things in perspective. It's funny that you know all the right things to do. You help your clients do all the right things, and sometimes you can't do them for yourself. And that's one of the really cool things, is that there is always someone to reach out to, and always someone to listen and help reframe and help you get back to what you need to do. And so that was a week ago. And in the last week, I've done what I was supposed to be doing, and it's been much easier. I've also followed up with my coach on our normal coaching night, which we had not done in months. And so things are getting back to where they're supposed to be, and it's been helpful.
Thanks for sharing. And the time frame you gave, so how long did you say it was? Like 14 months, or how long was it?
How long was what?
Since you had lost the weight initially, and then when you really started to struggle?
So we transitioned a year ago, and I probably only really started struggling about 3 months ago. and did okay for a little while, and then kind of got sloppy.
So some of the old habits and triggers and things were creeping back in. And if you look at statistics for weight loss and people that lose weight, like the statistics are like 80 to 85% of people, when left on their own, will, over the course of 2 years, gain their weight back. That's what happens with, if you just like did our weight loss plan and then went off and did your own thing, statistics are not in our favor. What makes Optavia different is the fact that we helped you identify those triggers, right? Those things you started to see those patterns in yourself. You had that support system around you. And we talk about it often, and we know that initially a lot of times people aren't interested in it, or it might not be the right time or the right fit. But what also I think helped was the fact that you are a health coach, so you're plugged into our system. So you were constantly connected with us, where if not, the tendency can be to drift. Even within that, you said with your specific health coach, you had started to drift. So there is reason why health coaches are 5 times more likely to keep their weight off, and anybody can link arms with us and move forward and help other people. But there's just something about when you're engaged and you have that ongoing support. So, but the most important thing is that you reached out for help, because we can get those thoughts in our head. I'm sure you had some negative thoughts about yourself and everything that could have been. Your head is nodding. Yeah.
The biggest difference between the old me and the new me, who is also a health coach, is I recognized what was going on. And I recognized it and knew that I needed to do something, and thought about, I typically tell my clients when they're struggling to reach out to their coach. And so, okay, it's time to reach out to my coach. And that was the biggest difference between then and now.
That's good. I was doing a little bit of research just about change and fear of change, because, when we talk about transforming our health and maintaining and all that, that's right. It requires change. It's a different life, a different way of doing things. And it was interesting because, a lot of the stuff we've already talked about is there, but even fear of success can be a fear. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I'm capable of doing this, the rest of my life. And then those self-doubts can come in. And then it specifically said, when the self-doubts come in and we start to have those trip-ups and those failures, we don't necessarily want others to see it. So the tendency is to withdraw. So good job for raising your hand and walking through that fear, because it's working, it's working for you now. So good. How about you, Julie? You and Sandy have been, working together.
Yeah, Sandy, are you on? I think you might be muted.
I'm on. I got her on 919.
Yep.
I'm here.
Hey, so you guys have probably seen Sandy posting in our group. Last night was probably one of the funniest ones. But to be serious, Sandy's been traveling the past couple of weeks, which is out of the ordinary, right, Sandy?
Yeah, no, I don't normally travel for work, so it was a little stressful.
So she probably texted me maybe a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and you're like, Julie, I'm traveling. What in the world am I going to do?
Yeah.
So do you want to go for it? Share what you're going to say.
Yeah, it was a struggle. Well, let's see, today marks the end of my 3rd week. Tomorrow will start my 4th week. And I'm getting used to the program, which is awesome. I love it. Traveling in general for me, I'm more of a homebody. I don't like to go anywhere really. And then having to, figure out, I kind of messed up in the beginning, not knowing the program. Now I know, so when my second box comes, it'll be so much easier. But I ate up all of the kind of grab and go stuff in the first 2 or 3, 2 weeks. So when I traveled last week, I was out of town at App State and Wofford, and so just a bunch of college career fairs. And most of my fueling were microwavable. So I don't know if you know, but none of the hotel rooms have microwaves, which I don't really understand why. And last night in particular, I was really stressed out because I had one fueling left. It was the vegetable and bean chili. And I said, oh my God, like, what am I going to do? I'm not paying $10 extra to have a microwave in my room. Maybe I'll just skip my fueling. So I texted Julie and I explained the situation. She's like, don't skip it, because it was already like 9 o'clock at night. I'm like, I hate to eat late. I'm a real stickler for eating before, at 6 and not no later. She said, don't skip a fueling. It's fine. It doesn't matter what time it is. And I'm like, well, what am I supposed to do? I don't have anything. And then I figured out, well, there's a coffee pot. So I'm just going to boil the water in the coffee pot and not put any coffee in, obviously, and then use the hot water from that to heat up my soup, or my chili, which turned into soup. So I didn't have a spoon, and I didn't feel like going back down to the lobby to figure out where the spoons were, so I just ended up drinking it from a bowl. So I've had to be resourceful and try to figure out ways to, manage. And I made oatmeal. The oatmeal to me doesn't taste very good, so I was trying to look on Pinterest and figure out ways to eat it, but I actually made it easier because it was more of a grab-and-go thing, and I made my oatmeal into muffins. So that actually worked out really well, too. So it's just been trying to find that creative part of me, which is not normally the case. I'm not that creative, but when you travel like that and don't want to be stressed out, that's kind of what you have to do. So it ended up working out in the end.
That's awesome. So can you tell us why in the world you have been so focused and wanting to do that and finding a way versus making an excuse?
Yeah, when I first came to Julie, I was just like so desperate. I had tried like every diet you can imagine, and it was like a yo-yo. Nothing would work out. I was a college athlete and I've been growing up an athlete my whole life, so weight was never really an issue. And then when you hit 30 and 35, it's just, your metabolism slows down and whatever as you get older. And I just realized like the stuff I was putting in my mouth was not coming off with exercise. It was just sitting there. And I went to Julie and I was like, I need help. And she introduced me to this program. And I just am so determined. And so far I've lost 13 pounds. So I'm very excited about that.
Awesome.
And I just don't want to, I just wanted to make sure I'm sticking with this through and through. And so if she says you need to eat your last fueling, well, I'll be darned, I'm going to find a way to eat this last fueling. So I'm really, I'm stubborn when it comes to that kind of stuff. So I mean, I want to make it work the right way and I don't want to gain any weight back. I want to make sure I'm keeping track, losing weight, and all that kind of stuff. So that's kind of what my determination was.
That's great.
Thanks, Sandy. I mean, I think that's a really great example of when we're crystal clear on our goals, like she's just crystal clear, like this is it. I want to make this work. And as simple and convenient as the program is, it can still be inconvenient when you are traveling in a hotel room or whatever. But that's just a great testimony that when we do have, when we have clarity on what it is we want, we can align the choices up with it to make it a reality. And 13 pounds in your first month or whatever, that's fantastic.
Thank you.
Good. Yeah. Thanks for sharing. Thanks, Julie.
Annie.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So I was reading, and I'm going to have Susan speak with us in just a second, but I was reading about change, and there really are 4 different stages of change and a mental process that we go through. And the first one is the anticipation of change. So even for us, we always talk about really the first step in getting healthy is making that decision, right? Making that decision that you are going to move forward, you're going to do something. But even within that, we're seeing these examples of where even within that decision to get healthy, oh my gosh, this anticipation of travel, or I'm going to be at a conference, how am I going to make this work? It's just that unknown, right? I'm going to be at Disney or whatever. So that's a big deal. The second part of change is, believe it or not, it's a real deal. It's regression, falling backwards, right? So the odds are at some point, because we all think it's going to be that straight line to success, but the odds are it's going to be the squiggly line, right? And so it's usually through our mistakes that we learn that we can then go and move forward, right? So be kind to yourself. And I think often, I know for myself before this program, is that a couple of things wouldn't go right, or I would felt like I wasn't doing it right, and I'd be like, well, here's another thing that didn't work, and it's easy to toss it out the window versus using it as a learning experience. So we really try to put you in that environment to keep you moving forward, and do that. The other is the next stage of it is called breakthrough. And it's where the kind of the light bulb goes off and it's like, wow, okay, like I can do this, kind of like what Meg described, one foot, one step at a time. So it's that breakthrough. And then the final stage is called consolidation. And that basically means where these new habits and these new thoughts start to become your new reality. So just recognize that this is a journey. And I see some of my clients that I work with on a regular basis. And so the peaks and valleys, the highs and lows, this is all part of it. But even the fact you're here and you're on this call, it just shows that you will be successful because you're investing in yourself and doing it different this time. So Susan, we were going to just talk a little bit because we talked about, that when we are making change, that there's sometimes even a loss of identity of who we are. A lot of times I'll hear people say, well, this is so hard for me. I'm a foodie, or I'm the party girl or whatever. So there's self-identification and a fear of giving that up. Or maybe we're going to somebody's house and we're just, we're afraid of what they're going to be serving and we don't want to hurt their feelings. So how do we as coaches and how does Optavia help us in that area?
Well, that's a really interesting thing when you think about it. Kind of piggybacking on what you just said about change. With our program, it is a journey. It's for life. It's your new lifestyle. Look at our tagline, lifelong transformation, one healthy habit at a time. But when you were on a diet before, and I think we've all been on diets before, there was a destination. There was an end point. There's like, oh, great, I'm going to lose my weight, then I'm off the diet, and I can go back to my life. And it's not like that anymore. So if you've ever been on a diet before and you've had that diet mentality, it takes a lot of kind of a refocus of your brain to look at it a little bit differently and realize that this is for the rest of our lives, and having those goals, that fundamental goal of I want to be a healthier person for whatever reason you may have. And that requires making those different choices. Dee's got a great shirt that says nothing changes if nothing changes. And I mean, I love that shirt. And it's just so perfect. It just simplistically says nothing changes if nothing changes. And so, when we go out in this world and we want to be different ourselves, we find ourselves in this position where we become sort of a role model for health. Whether you're a health coach or not a health coach, it kind of is, it becomes that way because we're living a different lifestyle than what most people are used to. Most people have that diet mentality. So, when we're at situations like, whether you're at a fundraiser and all they serve is really good Italian food and it's all family style serving. And so, when you go to something like that, it's really good to kind of take a look at, okay, what is my goal and what do I hope to achieve this evening? Do I want to stuff myself with this food because I feel obligated, or do I want to put my own health first and make those healthier choices? And I think we get caught up in well, I don't want to offend anybody, or, I don't want them to think something different from me. And, truthfully, we can't affect that. We can't affect what people are going to think about us. So being true to what your decisions are and what your choices are and what your goals are, I think in the end is the best ways to take care of ourselves, first. And so think about that, especially as we enter into, Halloween for me prior to this program was all about the candy corn. It was all about those tiny little Snickers bars. I couldn't wait for all those Halloween candy. To me, that's my trigger. And so when I got into the workbook and the education part of the program, which we coaches often tell clients, get in the workbook, because we know it works. We know that workbook and the education piece of this program is going to give you those tools that when you have that trigger of, oh, Halloween candy corn, woohoo, you realize, A, that's a trigger, but B, what's this going to do to my body? And C, what's this going to do to my goals at the end? How far am I going to step back? And is it really worth it? Is that candy corn really going to be worth it to me? And then, when we're in this lifestyle of changing ourselves, it ripples out. It's a ripple effect to the people that are around us. And some people fight back that ripple effect because they're not ready. But I feel like, let's live authentically. we have our own goals, but it does ripple out and affect others. So, you know, I think, you know, it comes back to our choices, but it also comes back to the pillars of our program, that education piece, tuning in with your health coach like Jonathan did, and like, you know, just getting back into the nutrition program, making that commitment to yourself. I think Ashley did that, Meg's client, where she said, for a week, I'm going to do the program all on. And look what happened. So it's trusting in the program. And that journey, it's forever. But the diet is the destination. And we all know that diets, they don't work. So we don't want to go back on that mindset. But it takes time.
Yeah, that's great. You know, we all come into this with the desire for change, right? And we hear about all this stuff. Wow, I've got a health coach. Wow, there's education. And that, I mean, everybody on this call, we all want this for the long term. What happens is that, you know, we bump up against life and these obstacles and these challenges we've talked about, and busyness and distraction and whatnot. But as Susan said, you know, as your coaches, if they ask you again, like, hey, have you read chapter 3 in the book? It's for your benefit, you know, because we know, and our role as your coach is just to point you in the direction of what's going to help long term. And so we know this community is great. Thank you guys for making time to be on the call. If you live in the Atlanta area, on Monday nights at 7 p.m., we have a Healthy Habits class, and very similar to this, we talk about you know, the real issues and how to move forward with our health and navigate our life at the same time. We have 2 larger scale Optavia events coming up on Sunday, October 15th in the Atlanta area at 3 p.m. We would love for you to join us. These are also great environments to bring guests. So maybe you have a family member or somebody at work that's been watching you and whatever. It's a great environment for them to come and learn more about the program and what's possible. And then in Charlotte, Julie Apple and her team are doing a bang up job building that community. And on Saturday, October 21st at 11, is that right? 11 a.m. In Charlotte, we have a meeting. And our goal is we'd love to start this in every area where you guys live. But until then, we'll keep this format going. And just so appreciate every one of you guys, proud of you on your journey. And we'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Aloha.
Aloha.